Hello and welcome to another episode of Squirtified Engineering. I'm Sprutis, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so you can stay up to date with all my different projects. So this is the first episode of my new segment about detailing. If you want to know more about why I started this and so on, then please have a look at the segment introduction. But what I can say about it is that it's everything from washing to polishing, compounding, or how far you want to go. And since I am in Sweden, I believe the Swedish market is the ones, or those active in the Swedish market are the ones who are most interested in some of the ways that I would be using these products, as we are experiencing the same climate. And therefore I will also record this in Swedish. So if you prefer to hear me in Swedish, then look at the Swedish alternative. So we are jumping straight into a product testing of a brand new brand, Car5. And it's from the store Autodude. And this came to me via an email, basically. So I sent them an email, or I filled out a form saying that I'm interested in doing product testing. So they sent me an email giving me a certain rebate, and which is totally optional, but if I chose to buy the products, then they just wish that I maybe post something on Instagram or YouTube or something on social medias. So I will do a test. So I bought the entire line, which is basically everything within washing. So nothing about polishing or that kind of stuff, paint correction. And yeah, apparently there are different levels of those of us who have been selected. And the guy behind the counter told me that I was I was a part of the smallest group, at least. So maybe that's something good. Hopefully it is. And the idea then behind this brand Car5, because the store Autodude, they are selling basically every brand you can think of when you look into the area of car care products. But that also gives them the benefit of seeing lots of different products. So they know what people want to buy. They know how the products are working, etc. So they sort of have a market research done for them by selling stuff. So the idea that they have of this brand then is they will of course use their experience of all the million products that they've sold, and they have 3 key features of this. So usability, which in their mindset is easy to use, safe to use, and also safe for the vehicle as well as the environment within a certain extent. Don't drink this, that's not good. The second point is performance. So this product range is compatible within each other, and they complement each other, making it so that you can do it step by step, sort of, which I will talk about a bit later on. And also the product needs to be efficient. And the most problematic point is price. The goal for them is to have the best price performance ratio as possible. And that can be tough. You are not really selecting these things based on one thing. It's a range of different aspects that you can if you want to take into consideration, but more on that later. We will start with the product, and I will be presenting them in the way that I will be using them, but there are a few things that are common. So you heard me talk about the 3 main points and the usability. So if we take this one, trim dressing for example, you have a bottle, you have a spray nozzle, so it's conveniently sized. All of them are basically done like this. The exception is shampoo and pre-wash. You will see more about that later on, but otherwise it's just shake, but properly, and then spray it. And the things that you would expect that you can first spray in a microfiber and then apply, or spray it directly on the surface, is basically the only things that you need to know. The only option or product being a bit outside of that is the spray wax, and I'll come back to that a bit later. But yeah, so everything is conveniently sized. You have basically everything you need. You just open your cabinet, you have a nice blend of colors, you grab what you need, you use them, then put them back. So then it makes it easy to use. And I guess that's also an aspect that you can that you need to take into consideration when you comparing prices and so on. Let's start with the wheel cleaner, which is the first product that I will be using. And by the way, I haven't tried any of these products before, so it's a first. So I guess that's just a perfect product testing. So I've gone through the details about the products and written down some key facts about it. And just like I said in the 3 points, that it's safe, environmentally safe and so on, that's quite common among the products. So all the products that might be rinsed off and end up on the ground, they are biodegradable. But the wheel cleaner, this one contains no acid, it's pH neutral, so it's safe for basically any surface. That means that this actually is a 2-in-1 product: wheel cleaner and iron cleaner. So as you will see, since I have the steel is on my car, I will use this as a iron remover or cleaner. And the idea is that you mix the convenience of having a spray nozzle with the gel-based mixture of the fluid. So basically you get something that's easy to apply, and it will stay on for a while. Even if it's supposed to be safe and so on, you don't want to leave any of these products to dry. it also says so on all the buttons. And everything should then be quick and easy. And this one will, like most of the wheel cleaners out there, turn purple or red when it's acting with the iron spots or brake dust and so on. And the goal with this one, when you're applying it, is to apply it to a surface which is as dry as possible. The next product is insect remover, and it's just that. Removes insects, bugs, things that are basically organic. And the idea is that this will soften the dirt particles and make it easier for the next washing step to remove the dirt or the bugs, insects, whatever. This is also biodegradable, so safe to use outside. Don't pour it on the ground, that's never good. But in case you get something on the ground, it's not the end of the world. This is also wax and coating safe. The third product, which is I guess the main product of every car wash, the shampoo. And this one can be applied in two ways. Either in a bucket, which requires very little shampoo. So this one should cover about 25 washes, and it doesn't contain any wax or things like that. But what it does do is create a high foam. It will also create a slippery surface, so some sort of friction modifier to go in between your washing mitt or sponge and the paintwork. Minimizing the friction force is a way to also minimize scratches. It can be used on basically any surface. If you're unsure, try it in a small place first. It's safe for your wax and protection, and the idea is that this will sort of lift up the paint and rejuvenate it. Apparently it has the scent of oranges. I did smell it a little, and I did get the whiff of it. Just like the previous products, it's biodegradable and pH neutral, and it can be applied with a foam lance, which is probably the way that I will do it, just for simplicity, which is basically the theme of this. The fourth product is the glass cleaner, and this one is alcohol based. Don't drink it, but since it's alcohol based, it will dry quickly, and the idea is that it will leave no streaks on the window, which is very annoying when that happens. It doesn't contain any ammonia, so that makes it a bit safer for you to use. Still, don't drink it. This one should then also be effective or efficient against grease and oil-based dirt. It will also remove bug residuals and other dirt as well. You will have to try, but yeah, it will be interesting to see how well it works. If you have tried a few different glass cleaners yourself, then you know that it's not always as it says on the bottle. But also, since this one evaporates, it's basically fine if you accidentally have some overspray on your instrument panel or something like that, as long as it's not sensitive to alcohol. But yeah, should be okay. They even announce it as free from spots from overspray. So we will see. Next up is the spray wax, which, like I said before, have a few different usage. So you can use it as a normal spray wax. You can use it as a clay bar lube. You can use it as a wipe additive for modifying the friction and getting less scratches when you dry the car, for example, or whatever surface you're washing. And it can also be used as a quick detailer. And of course, how you apply it changes with the purpose of the use. I like the idea of we also have the wax wet or wet wax support, which I like the idea of. So when the vehicle is still wet, you spray a few sprays over the car and then you rinse it off. And then you have a protection. I think I will do that, and then also spray a little in the microfiber before drying. This one is ceramic based, and the protection it will give the surface is supposed to last for up to 3 months. That always depends on where you use it. Is your vehicle stored in a garage or outside? Is it raining, etc., etc. So, but up to 3 months. And it's supposed to improve both the shine and the depth of the paintwork. So in the end, it's an easy way to get some sort of protection on your vehicle. So that's nice. And the scent is supposed to be of apples. I haven't smelled it yet, so we will see. So I accidentally skipped one product, and it's the pre-wash foam. So it's a dedicated product for foam lands, and it comes in this jug. Again, shake it. No need to dilute it, just pour it in the foam lens and it's ready to go. And I will use that on top of the insect remover, actually. So no rinse in between. And then after I have rinsed this off, it's then time for the shampoo. And this one is then supposed to be wax safe. And if you don't know about foam lenses, the reason is basically to get a product that can stay on the surface a bit longer. And like the other products, biologically degradable, biologically degradable, biodegradable. Like the other products, this is biodegradable. And like I said, no dilution, so makes it simple. And it's supposed to last about 35 to 40 washes. So we are now starting on the interior bits. So here we have the interior cleaner, which is supposed to be used on all hard surfaces inside the car. It will not leave some sort of sticky residue or added shine, so simply a cleaner. And yeah, since you usually are inside a vehicle, most of our vehicles are not really cabriolets or like that, so you are in a confined space, and this one is then not supposed to harm you, so it should be safe to use even in confined spaces. And basically, like all the other products, it's supposed to fulfill the requirements of both hobby level and professional level. And again, either direct spray or spray in a microfiber and wipe on off. Then we have the final product, the trim dressing. So this is basically for plastic. It's supposed to cover plastic, rubber, leather and vinyl. So basically the soft surfaces as well as the hard surfaces inside the car, with the exception of fabric. So you can use this both on the inside and outside, and it's supposed to restore sun faded plastic, for example, and this will protect the surface. So it's supposed to penetrate the surface, and what will happen then is that the durability of the surface will increase. It will ease cleaning and also give the surface UV protection. It's supposed to smell like vanilla, so we will see. And just like the cleaner, this one will of course change the shine of parts, but they say that it's a low level shine that's added, and this one is then supposed to last for a few weeks. I couldn't find any information if it contains silicone, which is good that it doesn't. And one extra usage which they have written down is you can use this on window and door seals, which is quite nice, especially for us here in the north when we are experiencing cold weather and frozen seals. The next task on the agenda is to talk about price, because one of the three cornerstones, if you will, about this brand is the cost-performance ratio. You have to then, of course, consider the price itself, and these come in half-liter bottles, and we also have to stay with the ordinary or the stock price, no rebates or things like that. That means that some of them cost 79 Swedish crowns, 99 Swedish crowns for a few others, and 299 for the pre-wash foam, and that gives us a liter price of 158 crowns per liter, 198 crowns per liter, and for the foam we get 59.8 crowns per liter. So I just looked up the stuff that I usually use on my daily vehicles. And the price for those are 100 crowns per liter for the alkaline degreaser. The pre-wash, which I haven't tried, is a bit more expensive. It's at 165. So that means it's more than 3 times higher than the Car5 pre-wash. The shampoo I normally use is 79 crowns per liter. I must have written that incorrectly, I think. Anyway, the Car5 products, they aren't the cheapest stuff, but the thing is, if you're going to buy the other stuff in bulk, etc., you need to add the cost of a bottle, a spray nozzle, etc., etc. Here you have everything packaged in a convenient way. So convenience is another thing to consider. And once we're in that area, we also can stretch it out to shipping cost. We can stretch it out to the time it takes you to collect the stuff, either from your postal office or the store itself. So in other words, you can turn the price in whatever way you feel like, just to benefit your cause. But still, here you're paying, it's not small money, but it's basically like a lunch. So you go into store, you pay for lunch, and then you go out and you have a ready to use product. It's simple. And I guess that's what you're paying for here. And if you add that you get a rebate, that they have a sale, etc., then it becomes a different story. So the best thing you can do is basically to buy them all and test them, or let people like me test them for you. So hopefully I will be able to provide some useful data for you. I don't really think about these prices as being too high, just because of the convenience. So I think it's quite okay. And if you're someone normal and you go to their page now, they actually have like a release sale for it, so you get 30% off right away. But yeah, the bottom line is you need to make this decision for your own when it comes to price. If you look at it by money per specific volume, then you have the possibility of comparing them. Yeah, so hopefully the next part in this will be enough for you. Next step is the way I will use the product. So I actually have a list, the same list I followed when I presented the product, with the exception of pre-wash getting wrong. So as I said, I will start with wheel cleaner, and in my case as an iron cleaner, which means I will spray it on the lower part of the car. I will wait for it to turn to purple or red, we will see, and then before it starts to dry, I will rinse it off with the high pressure washer. The step after that is the insect remover, which again I will just spray on. I will focus on, well, basically the surfaces that are facing forward or somewhat forward, meaning the surfaces that can get in contact with flies and stuff. And I will let that soak in for a bit, and before it gets dry I will use the foam lens and put on the pre-wash on top of the insect remover, and I will also cover the entire car. I will again wait a few minutes and then rinse it off with a high pressure washer. After this, it's time for the main character in this drama, the shampoo. And I think I will be using the foam lens just for convenience, like I've already said. I will use it in a way that makes it like a 2-bucket way. So I will put the shampoo on with the foam lens, but when I'm rinsing the sponge I will use my bucket with grit guard. Hopefully that will make it easier to get the dirt to fall down to the bottom of the bucket. And once I'm happy with that, I will rinse it off again with a high pressure washer. And then I thought it's time for the glass cleaner, and I tell you why. Normally you don't do it in this order, but I will actually first wipe off the windows on the outside just to get a dry surface. I will then spray the glass cleaner in a microfiber and apply it to all outside windows, and then take a dry microfiber and wipe off the windows. And after this I will make sure that the entire car is wet again, and I will do the wet wax technique with the spray wax. So I will spray a little all over the car and then again rinse it off with the high pressure washer, and after that it's time to dry the car. So what I will do then is I will take my drying microfiber, I will spray a bit of spray wax into it, and then I will wipe down the car, making it hopefully completely dry. So after this I will continue. So just let me explain. The reason why I take this in this order is because I actually want the protection of the spray wax on the windows, or well, maybe not so much protection, but the hydrophobic effect, and we will see how that works. So it's exciting. But anyway, we are then back to the glass cleaner, this time on the inside. Like previously, I will spray it in the microfiber, wipe down the windows, take a dry and clean microfiber, wipe any excess off it. And then it's time for the next step inside the vehicle, which is the interior cleaner. So I will wipe down doors, instrument panel, steering wheel, everything that is inside the car basically, with the exception of the seats and floor mats and so on. And then the last step, which is the trim dressing, and again spray it in microfiber, wipe it down wherever I feel like putting it, and then use a dry microfiber to wipe off the excess. So we have now the final step before we can actually go and use the product, and that's the tools that I will be using. And first off, the bucket. with some nice Dodo juice decals on and rinse. So as you can see, I have the double setup of grit guard, so one horizontal and one slanted. Hopefully that will keep the dirt inside the bucket and far down. And this is the washing mitt that I will be using. Nothing special, basically microfiber strands on a foam sponge. We then have the foam lens with my homemade adapter. Well, this part is bought, but I had to weld it to because it was the wrong thread. But yeah, it works. So I will be using this for the pre-wash as well as the shampoo. And since I don't need to dilute the product, it doesn't matter if I overfill this, I can just pour it back. So that's good. And then we also have the brushes. I will bring both. Both are brand new, and just to be able to get into the smaller crevices of the interior of the car. So I will just spray a bit of interior cleaner on it and then dab around. Then I have basically 3 setups of microfiber. I have my common microfiber. Yeah, I usually have a kit of these in the car. So I will use these for applying and wiping off excess product. I have my Dodo Juice glass cloth, which is just a microfiber that's supposed to be for the glass. And I thought that I would be testing out my newest purchase of microfiber, King Arthur Red Ruby buffing towel, but I would be using it as a drying towel. So we'll see how that goes. And again, I would be spraying product into this and then wiping off the car. So now we can actually go and wash the car. So let's go. So I used quite a lot. This spray nozzle was a bit tricky, as you probably could see. It wasn't that easy to spread out, so I walked 2 laps around the car, but it does seem like it's doing something. So I will just wait a little bit more and see if I get some more action. As you can see here on the left rear quarter panel, you have some action going on, so it does work. So here is the damage from when I was hit by another car. So I believe this works perhaps better on wheels, where you have a bit more confined spaces to get the product into. So it's now time for the pre-wash foam, while the insect remover is doing its thing. So I have this bottle filled. Stop. So I have this bottle full of product and I don't want to waste it, so I will just pour it back in the canister. So now it's time to rinse the pre-wash off with the high pressure washer. It's now time for the shampoo. But before I start on that, I will take the normal hose without any high pressure and rinse inside the door jambs so that all the areas are wet. So then I can just clean them off later with the sponge. But those areas will be done last. So by bending the hose, I can control the amount of water coming out, so I don't flood the car. Okay, so I have rinsed my sponge. I have filled my bucket with water, and the idea is the sponge goes down and moves against these plastic bars, and that will make the dirt get loose. And squeeze it out while you're at the bottom. Don't let go until it's up, otherwise it will just suck in the dirt again. So here I have my foam lance, which I've already prepared with the shampoo. And I will then use the high pressure washer to put a layer of shampoo foam over the entire car. I will then take the sponge and go over the entire car with that. And after maybe half a panel or something like that, I will go and rinse it out. The entire car is shampooed, and now it's time for a rinse off. So I will make a change in the plans. The next step would be to clean the windows outside, but I sort of already did that, but with the shampoo. So I will skip that for now and move on to spray wax. So I will spray a little bit on all panels and then rinse off again. So I now have one sort of layer of spray wax all over the car. So I will now rinse it off. So maybe it was a bit hard to pick up on the camera, but we do have some drop formation because of the spray wax in some areas. But one interesting area is the roof, because Sid, she's a bit too short to be able to reach the entire roof, and I forgot to do it. So this field, and about the same on the other side, does have manually applied wax. The middle doesn't. Here we see the droplet formations, but none in the middle. So it will be interesting to see how this changes when I use the microfiber with some spray wax in it. Maybe it gets too diluted when you do it like this. I don't know. Let's find out. So since this microfiber is brand new, I need to remove this, because this will scratch, or it's possible that it might scratch the painted surface. So as you saw, I poured a bit of water and we do see a difference in how the water is behaving between the surfaces. So proper wax, spray wax, and then proper wax. It does seem, it looks okay, but I mean, the spray wax is doing what it should. It's an additive for lowering the friction forces, and I mean, you need to do a proper waxing every now and then anyways, so the spray wax will sort of rejuvenate that, but don't use it on its own. The outside is complete, I would say. I might use some of that trim spray on the outside plastics, but let's continue on the inside. So the next step is glass cleaner. So I will spray it in the microfiber and do the inside of all the windows. The glasses are clean. There is something on top of the windscreen that would need a cleaning, but I will take that later. So let's move on to interior cleaning. And since it's about these products, I will basically just do the dashboard, door cards, and stuff like that. So I will be using these, and this time I will actually spray the interior cleaner into the microfiber or on top of the brushes, just so that I don't spread it out unnecessarily. Interior is now clean and ready for interior dressing. So I will use the trim dressing and I will spray it into a microfiber cloth and just wipe everything down. So I'm finally finished, and I must say that I enjoyed this one, the trim dressing. It's just when we had customers from a certain Asian country who discovered the vanilla sauce that we have for apple pie. They had it on everything, and just like that I have put this on everything that has some sort of plastic surface. So it's now time to go home and conclude the result, or what I think about it. So it's been a few days since I used the product, which means that I've been able to think it through. I've also edited the videos up till now, so I've looked through them as well. So what we have left now is the result and conclusion. So I will start with the result, and I will start with overall. The overall result is that these products are easy to use, they are convenient to use, no harm on either me or my car, which is nice. And I will take the products then in order. So the first product that I used was the wheel cleaner, and as you can see, maybe the level is down to here and it started up here. So I've used a lot of product, and I guess the nozzle was a bit clogged. The spray pattern wasn't as nice as I would have expected. I did use it basically like I think anyone would use them, basically taking it from the shelf, shake it like instructed, and then spray it on. So I didn't take any extra time to try and clean the nozzle or something like that. I'm not sure if I actually did have any rust or iron particles on the paint job, because I didn't see anything turn either red or purple. What you did see was some areas or spots showing up as black. That could be towards purple, but still, maybe that could be asphalt related dirt instead. After that we had the insect remover, but it's still cold outside and I don't really have any insects on the car, so it's not really fair to test this now, but since I had the entire kit, I felt that I would at least try it and see if something came up. But I will have to revisit this later. And then now in the correct order, the pre-wash foam. So this one was applied directly on top of the insect remover. I did, after rinsing off the pre-wash, I did notice a certain shine to the car. I couldn't see, I mean, dirt had been removed. Sometimes you can see that it's like a haze almost. So you have a thin layer of dirt still on the car, but I feel that the dirt was actually lifted up from the surface, and once I started to rinse off the car, it was flushed away. With other products I've seen that you get this dirty haze, so it lifts the dirt from the surface, but you can't fully remove it. So yeah. After that we have the shampoo, which I applied with the foam lens. I think the shampoo was applied nicely. The foam was thick and it stayed on the car, so I didn't really need to apply another coat of shampoo. I could just work with what I had. The glass cleaner, no complaints there. It worked like promised. It was easy. 2 work steps: apply, wipe off, and also I spray this on instead of spraying in a microfiber and then wiping it on. Then I get the added bonus of testing if it leaves any spots, which it didn't. And then I'm talking about spots left on the dashboard or door cards or something like that. And then the spray wax. So I don't usually use products like this, but what I could see when I sprayed it on the wet surface was that it's directly started to bead the water, but I felt that it was a bit hard to determine if I had sprayed on enough or too little. But anyway, once I wiped off everything, and then I also had this in the microfiber. I didn't see any oily streaks or anything like that, meaning that it's a cleaner product. They don't have additives that gives the surface a fake gloss. Yeah, so it worked nicely. After that we started on the interior. Here now you can maybe see the reason why you need to shake it. It separates. So that's the reason why you need to shake it. Nothing problematic with that. So when I used it, I did notice that the interior did get cleaner. It didn't add any extra shine, which was very good. And the brush that you saw me used, I used that for the first time, and it was very convenient. And even though I sprayed maybe a bit too much product into the brush, it was still easy to wipe it off, and no odd residues was left. And the last product, the trim dressing. This is quite new to me. I don't just like to spray wax. I don't really use products like this. But again, I wanted to test the entire kit, so I bought it. And it has actually a pleasant smell of vanilla, and it's not that too sweet smell. It's pleasant, and it gives the surface this sort of OEM silk surface. So it's a tiny bit of shine, but just the perfect amount. And it's not the greasy kind that you can see in some car dealerships. The final point, conclusion. And for this I will flip the order, so I will take the overall stuff at the end. And again, we will go through the products one by one. Wheel cleaner, if you buy it, check the nozzle. Take the time to clean it out. But I also think that if this is used on wheels, it might be sort of coming into its optimum workspace. So what I will do is later on I will do a comparison between the wheel cleaners that I have. So I will use a set of rims that come from the same car, so they are subject to the same dirt, and then I will take one cleaner per wheel, and then we can have a side-by-side comparison. And I think I will be able to give a final verdict on this product then. And as far as a iron remover, maybe I need to test it on some other car as well. I will see if I can find a car with iron spots, then I can test it with that. The insect remover, like I said, it wasn't really a fair test of this right now, so I will revisit this summer when the front of the car is covered in flies and mosquitoes. The pre-wash foam, I will continue to use this. Nothing odd or anything like that, but what I can do is compare it to similar products, do a side-by-side comparison. But I see no problems with using it. And the shampoo, so it's neutral shampoo, meaning no wax. So in case I want to use a shampoo without any wax additive, I will be using this. But if I anyway bring the foam lens for the pre-wash, then maybe I would just take the some of my other shampoos which I have in bulk. This would be maybe if I sort of grab the small kit, maybe. We'll see. The glass cleaner, it's actually one of the better glass cleaners that I've used. I think it's easy to work with, it evaporates quickly, and no spots from overspray. So the spray wax, since it does have a lot of different usable areas, wet wax, friction modifier, detailer, clay lube. I mean, I will go through this bottle quite quickly. I do like that it does not leave any residues, so I will definitely keep on using it as a wipe aid or friction modifier. I will not use it as the only protection. So when it comes to wax or coatings or protection, I would only use a spray wax as a refresh or something in between the bigger steps. So more like making it easier to dry the car. The benefit that you do get with a spray wax is that you can get it into the smaller, harder to reach areas, so that they also get some sort of protection. The interior cleaner, I will continue to use this, and I will also follow up with a side-by-side comparison with the other interior cleaners that I have. I mean, you have some cleaners that work well on very dirty and nasty stuff, and some are more convenient when it's more dust-based dirt. But on the hard plastic surfaces and so on, I think it worked great. And finally, the trim dressing, which, like I said, I don't have much experience of these products. I did try a few before, but wasn't too happy. But I was pleasantly surprised by this one. And also I just bought this to get the entire kit. But I will continue to use this, at least on the inside of the car. We will see how it holds up on the outside. So yeah, I'm happy with it. The car looks basically brand new on the inside. So the final verdict. the overall conclusion. I think the products are easy to use. They are what they are promised to be. You have to remember that this is just one test, one vehicle, so more tests would be preferable. But I would recommend other people to buy this, especially if you are just starting out. Then you can buy this and you have everything ready. The color combination is quite nice, so easy on the eye as well as the body. But I would also recommend more seasoned veterans or people who already have a big arsenal of car care products to actually buy this, and maybe not as the primary product, with the exception of the glass cleaner and interior cleaner and trim dressing, but I mean it is a convenient kit, so you can have it as a backup kit, something to just throw down into a bag and bring it to where you need to use it. So yeah, I like the products. We will see how this brand evolves. It will be interesting to see. So this was quite a long episode, but I hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you did, then please consider subscribing, because I will do a lot more product testing, as well as going through the stuff that I already have. Yeah. So until the next episode, stay safe, take care, bye bye.